Hi all. Yesterday, of course, saw Yom HaShoah, the day of memorial for the Holocaust, a really important day in our calendar, and we were really privileged to be able to hear the story of Ziggy Schipper, who had, of course, been in the Lodz ghetto, in the Łódź ghetto, had been to Auschwitz, to Stutthof, and has survived and had a meaningful life still till now, and it was great to see him. And it made me think, actually, that a lot of the details we hear in the stories are often repeated. We hear stories about the Łódź ghetto, about Auschwitz, about Birkenau, about Theresienstadt. And yet that's really important. It reminded me of Pesach. Pesach, every year we read the same story of persecution, the same story of what Pharaoh did to enslave our people in Egypt. We do the same story with the same details. And that's really important in a sense that we don't want to forget on the one hand. We want the stories to be part of who we are, to learn them, to understand them, and to never forget them, and to always be able to go back to them. But what's also interesting is that the story of Paro and the exodus from Egypt, the story of the persecution, the slavery in Egypt, doesn't make us overly angry. I remember Clive Lawton, who was a member of our synagogue for many years, saying, the small piece we say when we want Elijah to come in and we open the door, Shvoch hamatcha, pour out your anger. That small piece is really the only confined place of anger. And it's, rather than saying, wow, isn't it terrible that we're so angry at that piece? It's almost like, well, that's the only time we're angry. Surely we could have been more. And instead we open our Seder with halach ma'anya, kol dichvin yete v'yechul. This is the bread of poverty. Anyone who wants to, who needs, should come and eat. We open with openness. We've gone through this persecution, and yet our legacy to oppose it is to be open and loving and kind and reach out our hand. And in some ways, that is a legacy we have as a people, and it is so important to us from the Holocaust. To, on the one hand, tell the story, to, on the one hand, repeat the details, hear it from those who lived through it, who survived. And on the other hand, as Ziggy himself said, if there's one message, it's not to hate. It's to be able to open our hands to others, to listen, to have kindness, to help the other. And that's the equivalent of the halach ma'anya, the way we open our Pesach Seder. Those are thoughts and reflections I had, really thinking about listening to Ziggy and others through Yom HaShoah, such an important day in our calendar. Now, Shabbat is coming, of course, and we're going to start something now after Pesach called Shabbat Shalom. It's going to start today at 6 o'clock. Beth has sent out details so you can join by Zoom. We loved our Kabbalat Shabbat last year, but it's hard to repeat it in the same way because we do Kabbalat Shabbat in Shul, and it's not the most musical one now, given the restrictions, at least at the moment. But let's get together at 6 o'clock, have 15 minutes together. Bring your soft drinks or your gin and tonics or a little bit to eat. And let's be together at 6. Let's sing Lecha Dodi together so we get a little bit of that Shabbat spirit. Let's bless our children maybe. Let's hear a little bit about the portion. Let's wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. And that will be a great way to bring in the Shabbat together as a community. So join us for Shabbat Shalom at 6 o'clock tonight. And have a great and wonderful Shabbat.